Yeah, when you were downstairs, I was telling Josh, people are gonna, when the video comes on, they're gonna see what barrels we're releasing and stop watching. So they'd be like, oh,
Hey guys, Josh and Trevor here for another Whiskey Wednesday. Today's a huge day down at the Argonaut.
Definitely.
We've got some really cool stuff coming up. We just got our newest Four Roses single barrel in. We'll tell you a little bit more about those in a sec. And then we also got 2 Knob Creek barrels. So these are 2 different barrels. We're gonna tell you a little bit about each. But to start, something new that just came in from our friends at New Belgium. This year's edition of the Oakspire. What they did this year, a little different than last year. It's not from any one particular barrel, but they forced it through spires and then added a couple adjuncts to kind of make it sort of like an old fashioned.
Yeah, exactly. They some bourbon barrel aging and added some fruit and some bitters and everything, so it's kind of like their play on an old fashioned.
Mm-hmm. So it's one of their amber ales that's then forced through, barrel char, oak spice, and then adjuncted with, cherry, orange, all the flavors you get in an old fashioned.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, it tastes like an amber ale, but really on the back end is where I get those fruit notes. It kind of has a finish like an old fashioned.
Definitely got like an orange citrus finish.
Yeah.
Really solid. That's going for $13.99 a 6-pack, everyday low price at the Argonaut. We have it on the shelf now.
Yeah, this one's very drinkable for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, we have our Four Roses. Man, it's always one of our favorite times of year when we get a Four Roses barrel. We used to get many of them, but as you guys know, bourbon popularity increases. It gets harder and harder, so it's always great when these come in. Josh and I were supposed to pick this out at Four Roses, but obviously that didn't happen due to everything going on in the world. So Four Roses master distiller Brent Elliott picked it for us. If you don't trust him to pick your barrel, I don't know who you trust.
Yeah,
so
that's for sure.
So this is a 10.5 year OESK. So it's the low rye, and then the KE strain, which is what they call the spicy and full body strain. So.
Which is kind of interesting because if you were to go high rye, you'd get a little bit more spice. So before trying this, it seems like it's going to be really just well balanced. Got a lot of different things going to it.
Sure, absolutely. And then it's also all relative, and things are different based on where it was in the warehouse and
right.
age, and so yeah. A really great nose. I mean, I definitely don't get a lot of spice. I get like a lot of vanilla and caramel on the nose. It's fantastic though, yeah.
Yeah, definitely for Four Roses, this is a little bit on the sweeter end.
Yeah.
But it's got some of the, it's interesting this is the low rye because it's got a little bit of like that dill rye note in there.
Yeah, I get that. But yeah, definitely a sweeter, like it's a kind of classic sweet bourbon. It's 112.6 proof, but I mean, if you told me it was 80 as far as burn goes, I wouldn't argue with you. You know what I mean? There is
I agree with
none
that
whatsoever. I mean, I don't even get a hug. Like it is.
No.
Just,
which would have been nice right now.
Yeah, it's silky smooth, just great. I mean, this is you can drink way too much of this way too quick. I think get yourself in trouble for sure.
And this actually was a fairly low yield barrel, so we're pretty sure that one's going to go really quick.
Yeah, if this barrel is still available at the end of the day, I will be amazed. So I doubt very much. And then we've got our 2 Knob Creeks. So same story here. Josh and I were supposed to pick these barrels out in Kentucky. COVID happened. So what they're doing is Freddie No Jr., son of Master Distiller Fred No for Jim Beam, is picking the barrels for you. So you get to kind of tell him what flavor profile you would like, and he picks for you. They have a spicy, a sweet, and an oaky.
Yep.
We said we wanted a sweet and a spicy. And what is interesting is they didn't tell us which barrel is which, so we're gonna figure it out here.
Yeah, now. Exactly. So the difference between these 2 barrels, they were barreled on days after each other, right? So this one was barreled on February 8th of 2011.
Yeah.
So we'll start with that one.
Yeah, and then this one's just the 9th. So yeah, so
there are other differences as well.
That's how you'll tell the 2 apart in store is the barreled on date.
Yep. So February 8th.
Yeah, I definitely get some oak on the nose. Get some of those like red stone fruits too.
Mm.
Oh man,
Interesting. It
really well-rounded, I guess is what
Right.
I'm getting a lot. I'd probably have to sit down with this one for a little longer than we have in this video to fully dissect it.
pick it out.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, you know, you think, you know, if they're doing it this way with 3 different flavor profiles, they'd be a little bit, you know, one-dimensional, try and emphasize one characteristic of the bourbon. That doesn't seem like what we've got here.
No, I mean, this is like I get some spice, some sweet, some oak.
Mhm.
These are 120 proof, so a little more warmth in your chest than I got with the Four Roses for sure.
Mhm.
But I mean, this is like if you want like a well-rounded, not leaning too far in any direction on taste profile, this is a great one. I mean,
Absolutely. I mean, my guess is going to be that this is the sweeter one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
But I
unless we
don't-
try this one and it's like pure brown sugar, you know what I
Right.
mean? But I wouldn't call this spicy. So
Right.
So we'll see. So yeah, this is the one that was barreled on February 9th. So just from the nose, there's definitely more spice on the nose.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot more of those baking spices, kind of cloves. Oh yeah, this is a spicier one for sure.
Yeah, the palate definitely follows, but again, well-rounded. It's not one-dimensional. It's not like they, you know, picked the biggest spice bomb they could find and, you know, did that. It's got, you know, some of the sweetness, some of the caramel vanilla, but really this one's got much more of a spicy mid-palate.
Yeah.
You know, your clove baking spices things
Absolutely.
going on.
I would say this one's more well-rounded, yet extreme in that at the beginning of this one on the palate, I get like a lot of sweetness,
Mhm.
but then it quickly shifts to I get a much more spicy mid-palate and back end.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Kind of instead of being well-rounded all the way, it kind of starts with one and ends with the other to give you that
Mhm.
well-roundedness. So this one's really cool. Yeah.
Well, and these two are a really cool kind of experiment in how 2 barrels that are very similar in age from the same producer
Right.
can be pretty different.
Yeah,
you know,
they're-
same mash bill, same everything like that.
Yeah.
And you know, we really get very different barrels out of
Absolutely.
these 2.
Yeah, they're both about 9.5 years old, but from 2 different warehouses, different floors, you know, so it's just a good example of how those differences in warehouses and aging can affect the products. So,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
both really fantastic. Obviously, we're still doing the lottery right now at the Argonaut, and these 3 will get you those additional entries.
Yep, absolutely.
So you definitely want to come by. I don't think any of these 3 are going to last particularly long at all. So
I would be surprised. We are doing limit 1 on the Four Roses, and then limit 1 of each on the Knob Creek. So you can still come down, get an opportunity to get all 3, but we are limiting those just because, of course, there is way more demand than supply.
yeah, we want to give everybody a chance to at least try them. You know?
Absolutely.
So absolutely. And then you know, to continue what we've been doing, we got to draw another name.
Yep.
So me and Josh went and looked at what we had left over from last year, and I didn't even realize this was kind of in the back. We
Yep.
had an Old Forester Birthday Bourbon from last year, so we figured that would be today's drawing. So let's see what we got. Brian Vaught or Voigt or V-A-U-G-H-T. You have won the opportunity to purchase an Old Forester Birthday Bourbon from last year.
Awesome.
And as always, like I said, this doesn't count towards this year's lottery, so your entry goes back in the box.
Goes right back in the box.
Yeah.
Pricing on these guys, $72.99, $49.99, both on sale.
And then $13.99 on the Oakspire, which is
Yeah.
really a good pairing with these.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah. And it's a great day for whiskey at the Argonaut. Come
Absolutely.
on down and give them a shot, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.